Hi, welcome back to the channel and this fourth installment in builds for the Vorschlaghammer. The car is based of course on the AMG Hammer, the E-Class, and nearly every other build I'm doing, I think every other build is in fact a 190E build because the car shares parts with those and I can find so many more builds for it. And this really extreme build is the Evil Evo, that's what they've called it. It's made by Trickfactory Customs from Canada, and it's the personal car of Timothy Black, who is the owner of Trickfactory Customs. The article I read was when the car wasn't quite complete. They're projecting between 1,000 and 1,500 horsepower for this car, and of course fairly extreme body kit based around the 190 Evo 2, but taken on a bit. I've chosen to build this on the drift version of the car. That's partly so I can have that slightly racier interior, although on the real car it's a red interior and not so stripped out. But mainly because I want to keep the build I already have on my road version. So I thought I would just build this on the drift version. You could actually build it, as far as I can tell, on either version of the car. I do think it looks very good, very menacing. And we do have the bulk of the correct parts for it, apart of course from the arches, where I've said every time they don't really look like the Evo body kit, and in order to get the stuck on look that we need, we've ended up having to have little bolts. So that, on perhaps any of these builds, will be my main bone of contention. Other than that, we are very fortunate with the selection of parts available in how close we can get to this car. And just before we start running through the main options, just a reminder then, this car already has drift tuning, so that has lowered it beyond the other car and given you full performance mods. So as I alluded to when we were driving in, we're going to use the bolt-on arches painted option, which we've used on I think most of these cars. Moving on down then to the bumpers, none of them are quite right, but the bumper with the least detail on it, the street bumper, is by far the closest to what we want. And on the back we get to use this race day diffuser. Now I found this quite exciting for a simple reason, which is this was the only build I'm doing of the 5 where I'm not using the stock bumper, and where this absolutely massive diffuser does come into its own. I've used the tuner exhaust because I think it's the more subtle, more hidden away exhaust, because I could not find the exhaust on the car. The car has a matte black grille, so that stealth grille is perfect. We're not doing anything with the headlight covers. We can't unfortunately take the orange out of the indicators. And on the hood we're quite lucky. This race hood is not a million miles off, and the black works really well against the satin grey paint that we have on the car here. In fact, I painted the car slightly darker when I was initially building it and it didn't work as well. So race hood there. Skipping on down to louvers, I don't want anything on the back window, so no louvers. Definitely going for the black plate to hide it away a bit. When it comes to the respray, I have filmed that, so I'll insert it here. I wanted a satin grey paint, but just based around standard car colours, not crew colours. So starting with the car, the colour it was on the last build, go into matte, selecting light grey because that's the closest colour I can get to the one that I want. Once that's been painted on the car, into the metallic section. This is a very old glitch, by the way. It's been around forever and I think it might be all platforms, certainly works on PC. Spend some time in metallic, go into your number plate, change it to anything else you like, straight back in, and you'll find you can now apply a pearlescent to your primary paint. Now if you can't do this, it's not too bad just leaving it matte light grey, it works quite close, but this dark steel pearlescent that I'm going to add definitely lifts it. Once you've done that, you can just pop your secondary on again as matte light grey and it will just pick up the pearlescent of course automatically. Then if you're like me, you completely forget the number plate, so you have to go back in again and go back to your original number plate. And again, this only works at Los Santos Customs. On then to skirts, and the track skirts that we used before do seem to work the best for this. And for the splitter, this is our one opportunity to use the track splitter. It's got a few too many support rods, but its general size and shape and aggression is very similar to the one on the Evil Evo. The RS wing again works at the back. I was tempted by a sunstrip because there is a very dark sort of glass tinted part on Evil Evo, but that being grey looked all wrong, so I didn't bother. Suspension, certainly on this drift car I wouldn't go any lower than street. Street or lowered are about the right sort of settings. I'm suspecting if it was the non-drift tuning you would probably go going quite a bit lower. For the wheel type, there's only one that really seemed to work to me, which is gravel trap here, and the reason is there's no chrome lips or anything on gravel trap. It does say Stance Andreas in the middle, but only in a fractionally darker black than the black we've painted it anyway, and otherwise the shape is pretty close. You can see the alternatives here not looking so good for this build because of the chrome. There's no tinted glass on the Evil Evo, so that completes the build. We need to get outside and take a look. Yeah, I really do like this build, and if I had 3 of these cars, then this build would be living in a sort of modified car type section, because it's a really special car in reality, and it mixes a lot of aggression but with some subtlety. You know, it's not a wild colour or whatever. So I do commend this build to you, but as soon as I stop recording I'm taking this car straight back in the workshop to make my 5th build, which will be my final build on the car. It's the build I intend to store the car on. I don't think there's any secret about it, and I will endeavour to get that build out today as well, because tomorrow we have our more regular Let's Build, which has been planned for a week, which will give you some more Porsche content. So both of those to look forward to. In the meanwhile, sub if you like real cars in GTA, and at least my attempts to make real cars in GTA. Like, please do like if you like the video. And above all, as we head off for our final build, thank you so much for watching.